hit the like and subscribe button right now or else this guy will steal your crush. Ask/Reddit by Reddit Habbits. What was your biggest, oh crap, no going back now moment? When I was younger, letting my older cousin talk me into a canoe ride down a flooded river. We'd planned it days in advance, but there was a lot of heavy rain in the area and the normally calm river was near flood level and quite rough. I really didn't want to do it, but I didn't want to let him down either, so I still went. I knew as soon as we saw the river this was a terrible idea. The whole thing was a shit show, and I honestly though we were going to die. We had no control, and at one point we got stuck nose down, and a large rock, knowing if we tipped out we were drowning. We somehow made it out, and to the shore where we walked back with the canoe. Rule number 1 with any kind of paddle/unpowered water sport: if you have any doubts, stop. Even in a shallow river, that thing flips and conks you on the head, you drown. Wear your PFD, and follow your gut. Edit, because others have more effectively reworded it. If in doubt, don't geo out. Stepping off that sandbar I could barely reach to swim out to the girl, caught in a riptide, and not knowing how a riptide worked. It took what felt like hours, but, spoiler alert, we made it. Too early in the season for lifeguards. I remember calling out to people walking their dogs on the beach, but we were so far out they didn't even look towards us. I'm sure she is eternally grateful that you took that step. Don't know, she was a friend of a friend and I barely knew her. I was trapped in a riptide as a young child. A stranger pulled me out and almost 30 years later I still remember his face and how emotional it was. Trust me, she remembers you. I hopped a freight train once, and the moment it hits 15 to 20 miles per hour, you're just along for the ride. But the real no going back moment came when the train stopped on a siding outside Winnemucca. After waiting there for like 5 hours, I decided to walk into town and get some ice cream sandwiches. As soon as I got 50 yards from the train, I realized if it starts rolling now, I'll be too far away to chase it down. I'll just be stuck in this town for a while. Edit, for you kids out there, riding freight trains is dangerous and illegal, and dirty and loud and unreliable. Don't do it. Also, I should point out that Winnemucca is home to some of America's best Basque restaurants, fantastic cowboy heritage sites, and it's the gateway to the Black Rock Desert. It's got something for everyone, not just stranded hobos. There's definitely no going back from Winnemucca. TBF, this is how 90% of Winnemuccans ended up there. When I was about to get on the plane to my first semester of med school, my dad, never one for sentiment, said, well, you're now actually worth more dead than alive. Don't screw this up. The feeling when the plane takes off, knowing there's no turning back. It all depends on you. A scary feeling that is. True, in my time impersonating a pilot, that was usually the most unnerving feeling. During takeoff on my first ever flight at the age of 30, I have a real intense fear of heights. It's funny I've recently, over the last 10 years or so, developed a fear of heights. It really only applies on balconies or tall bridges, but in an airplane it's like I don't care. It's weird. I hate look over edges, so maybe I have a fear of falling more than heights. Like looking out a plane window is fine, but if my head's against the glass it's not. First time I went skydiving was a tandem jump, and the guy told me on the ground once we get in the door we'll rock back and forth 3 times. On the 3rd time forward just roll out the door. So, me being the trusting sort thought that was a solid plan. We get up to altitude, open the door, I put my feet on the little platform and cross my arms, just like he told me to. The F rocked back once, and pushed us out the door immediately. My only thought was that wasn't 3. OF, we're falling. My first tandem jump was in Russia and I speak no Russian. We were in the doorway and my guy's like, and I was like, okay, the Rush show? And then we were off. Walrus was Paul? Wait, if the walrus was Paul, who is the Eggman? Psychedelics, particularly DMT because it all happened so quickly and intensely. Salvia. Never again. Only lasts 5 minutes, but holy shit does it feel like an eternity. It's like your entire reality gets smashed into thousands of pieces and you're desperately trying to piece it back together, or getting thrust into the space between the multiverses, and you're trying to figure out which one you belong in again. Having your consciousness merged with a red Solo cup on the dresser is the kind of experience a man needs no more than one of in his life. I love reading salvia trip reports. Walking into a MMA fight and the cage closes behind you. How did it go? Pretty okay, I would say. I got punched in the face a lot, but subbed my opponent with an armbar. It was just an amateur level fight, but you learn a lot even there. Like you don't really hear your coach, you are way too consumed by what's going on, at least in the first few fights. Also, you can't really improvise, so a game plan is pretty important, because you will just revert to the basics you practiced. Also, you get effing tired as F just stuff you don't really understand if you're never in a fight. Also, you get effing tired as F just stuff you don't really understand if you're never in a fight. This is a big thing people don't get. They watch action movies and shit and go, oh yeah, I could kick ass for 20 minutes, when in reality a real fight against someone, sanctioned or otherwise, is one of the most exhausting things there is. Most people out there couldn't survive a 60-second fight. Getting in the ambulance after suffering a grand mal seizure from alcohol withdrawals. When I finally said enough is enough and decided I needed to quit drinking before it killed me, I thought I could detox on my own as I was terrified of hospitals. I was wrong. I spent a week detoxing in the ICU, and now, almost a full year later, I'm still very happily sober, and I'm completely thriving. I've witnessed 2 friends seize from alcohol withdrawals. It's crazy. One of my friends fell back into alcohol and nearly died from liver failure. Through some sort of a miracle he survived and is doing well. I can remember having what was supposed to be our last conversation on the phone. He wasn't supposed to make it through the weekend. Good job, I'm happy for you. Mountain biking with some friends on a new trail, which wasn't even a bike trail. We hiked most of the way up, since it was too steep to ride up. Carried our bikes all the way up, rested at the top for a bit, and then rolled over the edge. I remember as my front tire crested and gravity started taking over, I thought, there's no way I'm stopping now unless a tree stops me. Edit. Wow, this really blew up. Rock on. Who all wants to get a group ride going? I know a similar feeling. I was mountain biking too, and out of some really dumb instinct I pulled the front brake way too hard. It wasn't my bike, so I didn't know it well. Luckily I didn't break anything, but when I started taking off it was a really bad feeling. Canoeing over a waterfall. First time I did a waterfall I thought I was gonna die. I'd been whitewater kayaking for over a year, had all my safety trained friends there with me, yet that feeling of going over and looking down at the hole just made me go, yeah, stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. Every time I solo traveled and arrived in a new country. Same here. Also, solo moving to a new country. My plane touched the ground at about midnight in Stockholm, and I was like, shit, I'm 23 and I live alone in Stockholm. No going back now. So how's it going now? Thank you for asking. I'm 25 now. My boyfriend moved here with me a while later, and I clawed my way up to my dream job. By far the hardest and best decision I've ever made. I hope it keeps rewarding me. Sounds like a dream. Did you meet him there? Thanks. No, we had just met as I was leaving home. Very strange timing, but where there's a will there's a way. A bit dark, but when I took a bunch of pills in a suicide attempt. It was around 10 PM on a Tuesday night, and I had just gotten into an argument with my mom. I laid down in my bed and thought about my life. Considered asking my mom to take me to the hospital, but decided against it. I thought, welp, this is it. I'm dying. Then I fell asleep. I took more than the lethal dose of Seroquel XR, but somehow woke up in the morning, slow, but perfectly fine. I consider it a glitch in the matrix, but one I'm grateful for. This was in August 2019, and I'm doing a lot better now. Still struggling, but not suicidal. Well, that sounds rough. But for whatever reason you made it here, and we are glad to have you aboard. Keep strong. The positive pregnancy test. We were trying, but seeing the test my first thought was honestly, oh shit, what have we done? He's now 8 months old, and it is the best, but still the scariest, decision we ever made. Oh, this feeling. I remember sitting on the toilet, staring at the positive in the window on that test. I leaned my head against the wall and closed my eyes, and the room still spun and spun. It was the most complete sense of, well, this is what you wanted. Now what? The knowledge that nothing in life would ever be the same. I ended up miscarrying that pregnancy and 2 subsequent more. No other pregnancy test carries the same weight for me as that initial one. It was like I'd walked through a door into an entirely new wing of life. My kid is 14 now. She's amazing. It was all worth it. Mine just graduated. It's like confirmation that you did something right. Especially since he's a pretty darn good kid. When I ask my crush if she is ready for a relationship with me, the 2 hours I waited for a reply took forever. Also sadly she said no. Edit. Yeah, okay, I think that blew a bit up. Just to clarify, I really had tough feelings for her, and every time we spoke I thought that there was something. After literally 1 whole year I finally asked her, like an idiot, on WhatsApp that question. She said no sorry, and I said that it was okay and dumb for me to ask, and she said sorry again. I told her that I don't want this anyone to know. Well shit, here I'm on Reddit and pretend like this never happened. After that I didn't feel empty or some other stuff. I just felt that everything that I built up to this moment was for nothing. Thanks though for the support. BTW, I know that it was stupid and like a child would do, but I didn't know better. Now I do, and I'm starting to get again feelings for her. Maybe let's see how the second try is. Edit 2. Okay, that's cool how everyone has a different opinion about that, but it ends up on everything. You fucked up. Yeah guys, I know. And thanks for the gold. Hey bro, it's better to have a crack at it and fail than to just sit in limbo. At least you had the bollocks to try, and now you know. It's much better to know than to look back in the future and wonder what if. Silver lining, if she took 2 hours to reply, at least she respects you enough to take time composing a reply. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe to keep up with our daily videos.